Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
We just keep coming back to Thailand, still our favourite.
Yeah.
We just want to explore it all and then we're going to decide where's our place. Maybe it is Thailand.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe it is. And do you get lots of spiritual energy when you go to these places?
I try and be as grounded and as normal as possible. So I don't look for it. I don't search for it. I do believe that we're here to be humans. And so I like to be a human being. And so I don't chase the spiritual highs or the visions and all of these things, because I just think that's coming from a place of ego and not from a place of growth. And so I get things because I can, and if I tune into it, I'll feel it and I'll know it. But I try and be as just grounded as and have a normal human experience as possible, because otherwise you can just be it's just a bit weird.
Yeah.
It starts to get a bit weird. And the thing is, like, even now we're sitting in this room and there is a veil so we can't see things, but beyond that veil, if you tune into it, there's everything's here. Everything exists here in this room. So I could, you could tune in as much as you want. But why would I need to? Because I've come here to have a human experience. So I just want to be a human being.
Yeah.
And nothing happens. Like, we can keep going into the spiritual world. We can sit on, you can sit on mountains meditating as much as you want and getting really fat on spiritual energy. But actually, if you don't use that energy to do something good in the world, then nothing manifests. And so we should be using that to harness what we're learning and what we can access, not in a greedy way, but in a share that knowledge, share that energy, use it to grow and shift yourself so you can become more, and you can evolve as a human being and become a better human being. And then using that energy that you get, put it into goodness in some way, plant it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? As opposed to, who's the most spiritual and who's the most, I do this and I do, all of these. You can get
it's not a competition, is it?
No, it's not a competition. And you can get fanatical and you can get too bogged down with it. And you can keep trying to look at the story behind it and what does this mean and what does that mean, and get too in your head with it. And so it's just I try and keep it as balanced as possible and real as possible.
Yeah.
And I guess that's partly to do with my background as well. And just, I'm a business owner at heart. I come from a family of business owners. And so it's all about bottom line and figures and numbers and results. And so
reality.
Yeah. And so I think the spiritual side for me, there was very much like I was wearing two hats, and also didn't want, it took me a bit of opening up to really step into this other side of me, because I was judging myself and thinking that people are judging me, and no one was judging me. I was judging myself, and that's part of my own growth and my own working on me. So
that's really common though, isn't it? For whatever reason, whether it be our upbringing, whether it be what we see in any form of media, makes you judge yourself, doesn't it? And look at yourself. And we're very good at it, aren't we? In looking at ourselves in a negative fashion.
Yeah. But we don't even, often we're not even aware that it's us judging ourselves. We're so worried about what other people think. And we actually create this whole dynamic where we're living our lives worried about what all these people are going to think that actually don't care. They're too worried about what we think about them. And you're living this dynamic of, and it's not even real. None of it's real. It's quite scary.
It is, and it's really bizarre, isn't it, when you think about it, that we've generated this and it's not real.
Yeah, it's not real. And also we're living our lives chasing things, thinking that that's what society and the outside world's going to think, that makes me successful and the way that they see me. And what we didn't realise was what was the most important thing was, how do I see myself? And the only person that really matters is the relationship that you have with yourself and how you relate to yourself. And that's a massive awakening. That's where you just start to take your power back. And, that's when you can really start becoming the driving force for, what is it that my heart wants? What do I really want? Do I want that car because then I'll have the best car on the street or within my my group, my network, or do I want that car because I genuinely want that car? Was there something about it that's a passion and, I love that colour or whatever it might be? And so just in all the areas of your life where when you get to that point, it suddenly shatters everything. And actually you can feel quite lost in that moment because it's like, oh, what do I really want then? Okay, what do I want?
Yeah. And
so then you start having to build yourself up from a completely different place because there's an illusion that's just been completely dissolved.
Do you know, I found exactly that probably about 7 years ago now, when I drew the metaphorical line in the sand with absolute definition that I wasn't going to repeat that cycle again.
Okay.
And because it wasn't good for me. And I realised then that, so what is it I like? And it was a really steep learning curve. Yeah. And I didn't really know.
It takes some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Things that I thought I liked, it was like, no, that was only because that was my life then.
Yeah.
And the example that I've used before, because it's so relevant, is that friends that have known me for, 30, 35 years came round to the new house when we moved, which was about a year after drawing this line in the sand. And I go, oh, Debs, I didn't know you liked things like this. Neither did I.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. So going round, shopping, looking in these big furniture stores, I was kind of like, oh, that's sort of what I've got. But that's not what I'm being drawn towards. I'm looking at something over here because that's what's resonating with me. That's what I like. Okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
New home, new start, new everything.
Completely different vibe.
Yeah. And I still like them now. So clearly it was the right choice.
Yeah, I love that.
But you said then you were brought up in quite a business owner type environment. Was that a positive environment or stress, or what was it like?
Yeah, so my parents had businesses, so I grew up in that. It was very healthy, I think. My parents retired, was it last year now? And I think it was last year or the year before. And actually, I'm not somebody who gets attached to material things like cars, houses, things come and go. But when they sold their final business and I stood there and we went to say goodbye, it was a supermarket, and I sobbed my eyes out.
Did you?
And I don't know where it came from, but it was a cry of absolute, just so much gratitude for this business, which was the first business that my parents bought. And I was 9 years old and I used to be on the till serving the customers, and it was like my playground. And so for me as a 9-year-old, it was just fun. But at that age, when they bought the business, that's when I first learned how my behavior and my actions can generate income, a reaction. And so my first job was every day I would sweep up in the shop and I'd get 20 pence. And then I'd have a little notebook and I'd keep a log of all my money coming in. And then I said, actually, it's quite grubby in the shop, can I sweep twice? Yeah, sure. So I'd sweep twice so I could get 40 pence. And then this is where it all started, this relationship with money, but also independence and all of what that meant to me. And so that cry was just so much, not attachment and I want to hold on to it and I don't want it to go, because I really wanted it to go, because I wanted my parents to retire and I want them to relax because they'd worked so many years. But it was just everything that it meant in terms of my relationship to it, what that meant to me, how I relate with people, the confidence I have in speaking to people, and all of the skills that I built up being in that environment, and also what it meant for us as a family, what it brought in for us, our lifestyle that it created. And so, so that was really a starting point for me in believing in myself and understanding how humans are shaped in the environments that they're brought up in and the subconscious imprints that have on us. And so I just feel very fortunate in coming from a loving family that were business minded. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't completely perfect. There was things, and I've had things that I need to work on. And even the slightest things that shape us, and, you know, experiences that you had and things that your mum said to your dad, and then you got worried and you didn't even know you were holding on to that, those kind of things. But that then I knew from that age that when I grow up, I want to be a businesswoman. And that was that. I didn't really know what that meant.
No.
But I just wanted to be a businesswoman. And if I remember, that was something that was ingrained in me, because I wanted to be the one who calculated how much we charge. And I wanted that job of knowing how these margins work. And I wasn't allowed to have that job for some reason, but I did lots of other jobs in the shop. And so I thought, if I become a businesswoman, then I'll get to do that job. And isn't it amazing how I made that decision as a child and it became a belief? And because I saw my parents doing it, there was no doubt in my mind that I could do it, because if my mum can do it, I can do it. And so again, this shapes us as human beings and what we see. And so we just think that's normal. And also just, you know, seeing income, money coming and going, very relaxed attitude towards it. And so I grew up fairly relaxed around it. And then went on to start investing in property at the age of 22, because my mum was a great saver. And, you know, she always said, you must save your money. I still don't know what I was saving it for, because I didn't get the next code. I didn't get the next thing, like save your money. Yeah, great. I'm a great saver. So as I grew up, I was a great saver, but I didn't know what I was saving for. And so that created a bit of a fear. But anyway, and then I, because I was a great saver, I managed to save at, you know, a young age, and then started to invest into things. And I only started to invest into property because I had a part-time job in the summer holidays working in an estate agent's. And there was one of the landlords that used to come in, I realised wasn't just coming into the estate agents that we had. He was also going into other estate agents, because I used to sort of like look out and watch him go with all these little books that he kept with all of his different properties. And and he used to come on the bus. And I realised that this guy owned a lot of property around that area at the time. And I just thought, right, I'm going to buy a property, because I could see this guy, and I could see how much money he was making, because I had the files, and I could see, and I'm there calculating it. Oh, Mr. Lal, he's got this one and this one and this one, and calculating, and he goes into 5 different agents. And that was just how my brain ticked. And I just used to be a bit of an overthinker. So I was calculating it, and I thought, that's what I need to do. I'm going to get properties, and he's making this money, and he's not doing anything. He's just going around counting his money. This is great. And so it, again, just by chance, something that I saw, I was 18 years old at the time, and just picked up on it and thought, oh, I'm going to do that. And then just made a decision and started saving my money. And it was something that I got into. And so that's sort of like my business-y side, and then went on to buy a food business as well. And so having that side, and then also the spiritual side, and the spiritual side was very much something actually that was coming from my childhood, that I could hear and see things that I thought everybody could. And so for a long time didn't really talk about it, because I thought everyone could hear these things I could hear.
So it was just normal?
I just thought it was normal. I didn't really talk about it too much. And I would know things that were going to happen before they were going to happen. So I was quite psychic, and I can say that now, but I didn't know that that's what that was then. I used to love reading magazines. It was my thing.
Why not?
And I would look at magazines and look through them, and I'd see articles, and it would be like the pictures are talking to me. And I would think, I would know things, and I would also sometimes look at things and think, that's actually, what's written there isn't true, because I would know other things. And it was just a bit of a game for me. And then as time went on, I used to love people watching, and I used to look at the people, and then started to realise I wasn't just making these stories up, because I used to love people watching and thinking, I wonder what's going on in their lives. I think this is happening, that's happening. There was a lot more going on, and I didn't know that actually I was reading people. And I wouldn't ever do that now, because now I know, a lot of spiritual rules, and that's just rude to read people's energy. And also, why would you want to pick up? You can exchange things as well when you pick up things. And so, so there was just a bit of a journey on the spiritual side. And then as I got into as I grew up and started to play with energy a bit more in my 20s, I also kept it quite hush because I felt like people would judge me.
What do you mean when you say play with energy? So you're an energy worker.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
So what does it mean when I play with energy? I just realised that I could look at a person and I'm a problem solver. So I can look at a person, they can tell me, oh, this is going on, any area of their life. It doesn't seem to matter. And I would just look at them and I just know, beep, beep, beep. I just know where the block was sitting, either in their lives or in their physical body. And I could just find the root cause. And then I've just got a knack to be able to release it for them, either by having a conversation or by physically just using my thoughts or my hands, and I can take it out. And immediately they will shift and they'll move. And so this is very in my 20s is where I started to experiment more with it when I had children and they might hurt themselves and they would encourage me to do it more as well. Summer, my daughter, who would say, Mum, it feels so much better after I had that headache or when I cut myself or whatever it might be. Can you do that thing again? And I'd be like, playing with energy, and literally just learned more and more through just doing it, and people then sending other people, and it just grew and grew and grew. And it wasn't that I even realised I was a healer. I just did this thing. And so over the years, I did it more and more and realised that if I didn't do it, I didn't feel myself.
How interesting.
Yeah, and it just became a thing that I did because it, in many ways, quite selfish, because it just felt so good when I was doing it. And then over time, it's become a life. And it's my world now, and I can't imagine a day where I'm not doing some kind of healing or serving or helping people in some way. It's wonderful.
What a fabulous way to live your life, something that you feel so passionate about and that boosts you whilst giving at the same time. Means you can just carry on giving and not be depleted, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So what sort of people, when you finally thought, okay, this is something that I can actually do, how did that part of the journey begin?
At the time, I was going through a relationship breakdown, and it was a very busy time because I was going through a divorce. I was doing a lot of healing work on myself, but I was also quite realistic about, okay, what am I going to be doing in the future? And so I had a business going on. I had a new property business also that I'd set up, which was an option. And I also started to do healing in groups because at that time I'd become very busy, and it had always been a passion of mine to be able to heal more than one person, because I've always just been somebody that's like, okay, can I do more? What else can I do with this? And so it'd always been a desire to be able to. What I would find is whenever I was healing one person, I'd have 5 or 6 people who also had the same problem collectively at the same time. So in one day I could do 3 or 4 people, and I'm doing the same healing. And so started to then experiment with doing it in groups, just slowly building up 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. So this is at the time of COVID where I'd always done, I would say 90% of my healing was always distant because I had my businesses, children, I had everything else going on. It was literally through my WhatsApp. People would message and say, this person needs help. Can you help my family member? Can you help my friend? And so I'd always been used to doing the distant side. And so during COVID, I just thought, right, okay, we're going to set this up properly. Let's start it with a 12-week program where I take people through a process. So it was very generic. It was helping with the general problems that I would see. And at that time of business owners, because I was a business owner and I'd been through all these things that I'd worked on. And so I thought, right, I'm going to do it as helping business owners that might be having financial problems or might be having some kind of relationship problems in their business or in their personal life, and will focus on those areas. And that often, that you regularly will impact their health and well-being as well. And so that's where it started, and set it up as a group. And I think I started with 4 people. And then it slowly grew and it grew and it grew. And so now we have 2 different groups going on. So one is very much the business owners, the entrepreneurs that are really looking, they could have some big things going on. They might be going through relationship breakdown, business breakdown, partnerships fallout, all of these things. that are really looking to get to that next level with these blocks and they just don't want the pattern to reoccur again. But also we have also now launched a program called How to Heal, which is a membership. And because one of the things I was finding was we have lots and lots of people that come to us, but they just weren't quite ready to be working at that level. Or they might be a new entrepreneur, for example. So they're not quite financially in a position to invest as much as the other business owners who are ready to I'm ready to shift me now. I want to spend time with you every single week and give us your best package. And so now we offer something for, I would say for everyone. And this was again, just a feeling within myself that I feel like I'm supposed to offer this not just to that one collective, because there's very much, sort of a belief out there that you should niche and you should this, that and the other, but we can literally help anyone. We have so many different people that we help. And so with How to Heal, it's very much a membership that you can just drop in and out of. You can come in, try it free, if it's for you, if it feels like it's the right timing. But otherwise you can, just take the journey with us for as long as you need to. And so, yeah, that's who we kind of work with, a bit of everybody now.
I think it's really nice to hear that there are these two separate points, so that people that perhaps see what you do for the higher, business and think, that's a bit too intense for me. Maybe it's not going to address exactly what I need, for instance. There is availability
and I might not be ready. And also there's a lot of fear around healing because for so many reasons, even the word healing, I'm trying to move away from because really it's growth. When you look online, you see all sorts of adverts and different, imagery around healers that are making your body shake and what looks like a bit quite scary. And so we've got this sort of connotation around, healers do these strange things to our body. But actually the word is so, is thrown around so much when what we do is so different. It's not. It's really about an internal journey where we help you reconnect with your truth, who you really are, that you might not have ever experienced yourself, because we spend our lives often keeping ourselves busy, avoiding our truth because we're afraid of what I'll find within myself. And we all have these things within us that we're avoiding, and we know we're doing it. And so we might have had, it could be something as serious as childhood sexual trauma, all the way across to just a parent relationship that really hurts, like a mum or a dad that we don't get on with, and it's really sore and it's really painful, but we spend our whole lives avoiding dealing with that pain. And what we don't realize is when we're avoiding that pain, we're avoiding our own heart space. And when we're avoiding our own heart space, our heart can't speak to us. So we don't know how to connect with that aspect that we talked about earlier of what do I really want? So we live our lives in a false way, building blocks of protection around us. And who are we running away from? Ourselves. And so the healing journey and especially the work that we do is we really try and help the person to have contact with us so that they can ask the questions, they've got the support, they see other people within the collective of the group of people that we're working with that are going through the same things that they are, because our story might be different, but the pain and the struggle is exactly the same. It hurts just as much. So when you hear somebody else who's brave enough to speak up and ask a question about theirs, you see aspects of yourself in them and you go, oh my gosh, I do that thing and I didn't even realize I was doing that thing. I haven't even thought about that. Wow, okay. And then they shift in the moment because now they've just shed light on a part of themselves that they've been avoiding. And so it's a really gentle, really beautiful journey. There's a couple of ways of working. You can do it yourself online. You can work with us, so you've got support as well, where we can ask the questions. But also for people that want it a bit deeper, and you just get people out there that are just go-getters and they want it so quick. You can have it done for you. So there's the side of us, there's a option with us where we just do the healing for you, which actually I don't think is the best way, because what can happen is that a person can sort of just want to be saved, and and you can clear the stuff, and then they've really shifted and their lives have changed, but they're still the same person inside. And for me, that's not very satisfying. I want just people to face their shadows the same way I've had to face my shadows, and I still face my shadows today, where we actually become better people and we become better humans. And in doing that is where the world is going to change, because just fixing someone's problem and charging them a load of money is very selfish of me. And so, there's a side of just moving away from that completely and moving into a space of really giving people as much knowledge as possible that healing's a beautiful journey, and it's about empowerment. It's about taking your power back from all those that you've given it to, that all those people that you're angry with and you're upset with, that you think you're protecting yourself in some way by holding on to that anger, and actually the only person who's hurting is you. And no one's told us how to release energy.
So how do we? How do you effect that journey for people?
Depending on which avenue they've come in to work with us. If they've come in to work with us on a one-to-one, which we've got, different options. So somebody could have some kind of physical ailment going on. And so we're working through the chakras, the body system, and clearing. And literally, we are visualizing that person in front of us, going into their bodies, gently taking that energy out and replacing it with clean, fresh, higher frequency energy, because everything is energy. And so we would work with that person in that way. Now, if you're working with someone who's maybe just going on a journey where they've got, general life stuff going on, feeling blocked, can't get to the next level, don't know what their passion and purpose is, these kind of things, relationship problems, this can be done on a level where they are we give specific tools, I give specific processes to teach the person how to release the energy within them. So it might be an affirmation. It might be a journey that I take them on that feels like a meditation. I mean, we could do a mini one if you want to, so you can experience it and the listeners can experience it for themselves. And so then what this does is it helps the person to start to realize that actually, I can just let go of things by thinking I want to let go of it. And everything is through your thoughts and in your intentions. And from the way that we're thinking, the body will follow. And so when it's a process where I'm doing it through a meditation and taking a person through a journey, again, this is always guided for me. So it's not that I'm just strategically going, we're going to do this, but don't get me wrong, there's lots of strategy behind what we do. There's a process that we take people through, but at the same time, through feeling what's going on for the collective, so the group that I'm working for, or whoever's in front of me, I can just guide them into the space that they can't see, the block that they can't see, to help them shift it themselves. Because sometimes there's no point just trying to shift somebody who's not ready to shift and let it go. They might not be ready.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even know that if they don't have any perception that the block is there in the first place. Yeah.
I mean, the easiest, there's so many different ways of looking at clearing energy, and there's so many different modalities and ways of doing it. There's no right or wrong. There's just what you feel safest and most comfortable with. And I always think, just work with someone that you feel safe with, because otherwise your body's going to stop. Don't do it from a place of I should do this and this is the thing that everybody's doing, because you're not going to shift anyway, because your body's just going to hold on to it if there's any kind of fear. So just follow your inner guidance and your call. But the thing that I would say is all we're doing is putting light on the darkness. That's literally what we're doing. And the body just shifts and it releases. And then a person feels lighter and they feel brighter and they feel like they're then not attracting the same patterns and problems because they're not holding on to that vibration anymore. So what you're doing is helping a person move through out of a lower vibration into a higher frequency vibration. Not that the lower one's any worse or better, because, it's just about where you are at that time, but you're helping that person shift and move out of one frequency into another. And then I liken it to playing, I don't know if you remember Super Mario, yes. But, getting any kind of computer game where, and I feel like life is like a computer game, and it's like, you're flying and it's all going well and you're getting the coins and things are going well, but you keep getting to this one level and you can't get past that level. And that's where you can't get past that. You know, you might be feeling fearful, or you've got some kind of a block, or there's something that you're holding on to that's stopping you from getting to that next level. And so each time you get the knowledge, the data, the help from someone to help you shift, someone knows a bit more than you know, you shed light onto that area, you release it, and then suddenly you're flying again, you get onto the next level, and then you just feel like, yeah, I'm indestructible, I can achieve anything. And then you'll get to a point where you suddenly hit a ceiling again. And it's very much with our finances, you know, we have these financial ceilings that we hit, and we can't seem to get past that ceiling. It doesn't matter if you lose your job, you'll get another one for the same amount of money, but you're still at that level. And so and so that's why we do a lot of work on finances as well, and money, which is just part and parcel. It's all interconnected anyway. So it's amazing how our relationships, or our relationship with ourselves, impacts how much financial flow that we've got coming in, and even your relationship with money, how that affects what happens with your finances, whether it's coming in or not coming in. It's really interesting.
For sure. I mean, I bet you get quite a bit of the financial stuff, because that's a big angst for everybody, making sure they can, put food on the table, isn't it? But with your, I'm going to say unusual, but in a positive way, financial upbringing with the businesses and that, was that a difficult one for you to get your head around at first?
Do you mean because it felt as though I had good financial...
Yeah, and almost as though, of course I understand conceptually that people can struggle with this because they didn't have that, but to try and find a way around it to help people release their blocks? Or do you think it was easier because you'd got a good foundation?
See, I guess I did have a good foundation. I did have one of my parents that was always worried about saving, and so there was definitely stuff coming down the family lineage. There was definitely stuff coming down everyone's lineage, because our parents didn't have what we have now, and their parents didn't have what they have. And so we were all carrying that through epigenetics, through our system, and that's an aspect that needs to be released and moved forward from. For me, I went on to have a really successful business that was making very large sums of money, but kept seeming to attract the same problem again and again. So I also had a pattern that was happening, and I think it was about, for me, then went on a healing journey myself to work out, well, why does this keep happening? Why am I repeating this? And this is like my life lessons and my experiences that I went through, which was just unbelievable amounts of things that I went through myself in my journey, through healing all of those, as many aspects as possible. I'm still on the journey.
Yeah.
Through healing as many aspects as possible is the foundation of the knowledge that I have for this work that I do now. And so for me in that business, I went on to do my own healing work and realised that I didn't think I was worthy. So even though I had all this money, I didn't believe I was worthy of it. So I didn't know how to treat myself. I didn't know how to look after myself. And so I would create dynamics to sabotage financially to keep myself locked in that place. Not that I was going out physically sabotaging, but energetically I was attracting situations that were sabotaging that, to keep feeding into the loop, to keep me financially where I was, because I didn't believe I was worthy of receiving because of things that had happened in my past. Okay. And so again, that's a really common thing. How worthy we feel, how secure we feel about ourselves. Our self-worth directly impacts how much money you keep in your pocket. So you might be somebody that just keeps spending it because you feel guilty holding on to it, And so again, that self-worth is just an energy block sitting in your body somewhere, or sitting in your field, or sitting in your timeline through, maybe happened in your childhood. And so through the processes that we have, and the systems that we have, you'll go naturally through one of the money sessions, and one of the money sessions is very much around self-worth. And immediately when a person feels worthy, what they'll end up doing is they'll come away from a session and they'll be like, oh, I put my prices up. Oh, I had all these invoices that needed paying, and I hadn't even got to the end of the session, and I noticed they came straight into my bank while I was still on the session, because now the person's released those the energetic blocks. It's things we can't see, which is what's crazy about this, is they released and shifted those blocks. So now that money can come in, and they realize then that the whole time they were the problem. But yet we're thinking it's them not paying me, and this isn't happening, and that's not happening. And so, self-worth is one, fear is another one. If we've got fears and we're holding on to fear, we might be afraid of success and we don't realize it. So we keep going, I'm manifesting, and da, 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 da. But maybe we had an uncle that made loads of money and then lost it all. And it was a big trauma in the family. And you might not even know about it, but your parents know about it. And you absorbed that energy while you were a child because you were in the environment that this is being discussed in. And so, that could be a reason. Or maybe you feel that it's subconscious, if I become too successful, I now don't fit into I now don't fit into my community anymore, or my parents might, because you've heard your parents talking about people who are, wealthy people are just thieves, and that's sitting subconsciously as a belief in your system. And so your body is trying to keep you safe at all times. So it can't let you level up to the next financial level because you've got that one thing that this isn't aligning with. So it's got to keep you safe. So, our beliefs is another thing that we do lots and lots of work on, because if we don't clean them up, whatever we believe to be true is going to come true, because your body is always keeping you safe, because otherwise you're going to be in complete fear and you're going to have a panic attack. And so we have to keep ourselves safe. So we're automatically, energetically and vibrationally staying at whatever our beliefs are. I'm just going to say that again, because whatever you believe to be true is going to come true. It's like when I realized that, I just started to work through every single belief. I would literally just, every time I think something, I think, okay, where's that coming from? Is that helpful? Is this benefiting my life? How can I change this belief? And it's not as simple as, okay, I don't believe that anymore.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It's not as simple as that. You need to find evidence that you don't believe that thing anymore. So again, we've got process to help you really take the energy out of that belief so it's weaker, and then help you to really start thinking about better thinking beliefs that are actually feeding your life, supporting your life, and moving you forward. And so although we do lots and lots of work on money, there's a lot of, I still try and be really careful around it, because again, it's like, I don't want to feed into this whole market around manifesting and, creating massive amounts of wealth, which is beautiful. It's wonderful. It's wonderful and it's beautiful. But the issue is where people are just chasing these things and are chasing something outside of themselves. And so I'm just very mindful about when a person's coming in and what their intentions are, and what their mindset is coming into this, that this is going to save me in some way, or this is just about money. And, I'm very mindful of that, because money sells, money blocks sells, but actually who is this person becoming, and are they actually going to do some good with that money? And not that I'm the dictator of that, but I'm just mindful of the person's mindset when they're coming into it, and always trying to focus on helping a person take their power back and come back to themselves, as opposed to trying to make money to avoid themselves. Because a lot of times people are very successful, and I see this again and again, where they've built loads of wealth because they didn't feel worthy. So it's been a way of stuffing the empty feeling of not being good enough, because now if I'm wealthy, it means I'm worthy. And so when they get to the pinnacle and they've made lots of money, they still feel empty.
Yeah, because they've just not aligned.
They've never aligned with it. And so they can end up, really becoming very, very miserable and happy, and they've still got to do the work that we all came here to do. And I genuinely believe that, we've come on this planet to evolve and become better, and then to share that with others around us, because we're always going to be slightly more ahead than someone, and there's always going to be someone further ahead than you. And we're supposed to I just genuinely think we're supposed to become better. We're supposed to become better humans. We're supposed to become vibrationally better. You know, there's a lot more depth to where I could take this conversation, but just on a human level, we're just meant to become better humans. And whether or not you decide to go on a healing journey and get some support with that, you're going to evolve. If you keep putting your head under the, carpet, like I did for many years, thinking my problems will go away and avoid them and ignore them, and the mountain just gets bigger and bigger and the elephant gets bigger and bigger, life is going to keep putting you in positions where it hurts so much until you hurt, and it'll literally burn you down until you heal and until you get better. And so we have not got a choice. We're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to keep growing. And what I would suggest is just start learning a few little tricks and start working with something that helps your energy just to keep aligning, whether that is, it's yoga for you, or it's mindful walking for you, or it's actually using some kind of a healing process, just something gentle, something simple, because that way it doesn't have to be as painful as it's being right now. And the reason it hurts right now is because you just need to find a way of releasing some of this stuff that you're holding on to. We've been taught many, many things, but no one's taught us how to let go. Nobody taught us how to let go. And so there isn't just one way to let go. There's lots of ways, but, just do a bit of research, find your person, because, we have coaches in business and we have coaches for, PTs and exercise and all of these things. I actually think the world would be a better place if we had a coach for energy healing or a coach for growth, because actually it's the thing that's going to, the deeper you go within yourself, the further you can go and expand in your life. And so what we don't realize is I promise you, there's so much treasure in you. There's so many gifts in you. All of your answers are in you. Please stop. I just feel like I need to say this. Please stop chasing money, chasing women, chasing stuff. It's never going to fill the hole that you've got in yourself or that you're avoiding. I just want to say, start chasing you. Start chasing what is in you, because what you're going to find is beyond your wildest dreams. You're going to discover that you can sit with yourself and just feel wonderful. And all of that exists inside of you.
It's all pretty magical in the most just delightful way. I was thinking when you were talking about the blocks and not being able to move becoming a belief, and that's a lot of that family, whether that be your immediate family, your home environment when you're growing up, whether that be generational beliefs, and also all this stuff that's around us, making us suppress things.
Absolutely. Social media, what we're watching, what we're eating, all of it, we are constantly being programmed. Our environments that we live in, the people that we surround ourselves with, the people that we surround ourselves with and the conversation around us and what we're letting into, what we're allowing ourselves to hear is so dangerous, because you don't realize how much it's shrinking you. Start paying attention to, what am I thinking? Are you having fearful thoughts about random things because of what you've been watching, what you've been listening to? Because your auntie's reciting to you all this terrible stuff that she's seen on the news. What you don't realize is when people are telling you these things, or maybe you've got a project or an idea of a business that you want to start or a project that you want to do, and then somebody around you say, oh, you don't want to do that because so-and-so did that, and then they shrink you. That information that they're giving you isn't just information and then it just flies away. It's energy, which is being directed towards you, and it's pouring into your vibration because you're open to these people that you're discussing, because you're saying, I'm inviting you in. We're having a discussion. I'm open. And so that information is like an energy bubble pouring into your field, and it stays there. And at some point it goes into your cogs and you're replaying it. and it's going off and it's doing its thing. It's becoming a belief that you didn't actually put there or plant there. And so it just makes life a lot more difficult. It makes that trying to get that project going very heavy because now you've got this. And so, you know, even if you haven't got positive people around you, which again, you know, you can simulate this. You can listen to the right podcasts with the right conversations and the right people. It's out there. It's free. Just, you know, you can have that. Let them become your friends because they will start to shift you. Whatever you got in your environment and what you're letting in is moving your frequency either forward into growth, into you expanding and becoming more, or it's shrinking you and you're becoming less. So I would just say protect your peace, protect your environment, protect your energy, because your life, I'm sorry, does depend on it. Your financial future depends on it. The future of all of those after you, your children, depends on it, because we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And you know, one of the things that was a real eye-opener for me and in my life was I came to a point in my life where I was blaming and shaming, and things that were going wrong was everybody else's fault. And it was, you know, poor me and look at my predicament and all of these things. And so when I started to do this work on myself and really putting myself first, and at that point in my life, I just put everything aside and just worked on myself because I didn't have the capacity to do anything else. And a few things shifted and I was like, whoa, no wonder they keep coming back. This is wonderful. And then suddenly realize I can do it on myself. How great. You're just going to get addicted to it. You just want to do it more and more because you realize that, okay, I work on something on myself and suddenly things around me change. I have a little theory on this. I just sometimes feel like we're the only ones here. The whole thing's just like a simulation. And whatever you're thinking and saying and doing and you know, working with yourself is what you're attracting into your life. And you'll know what I mean. You know, people will know what I mean when I say that, because there's times where you're just thinking something like, I really fancy such and such for dinner. And then you get a call and you find out that a friend's calling you over and they happen to be making the thing that you fancy. You see, we can actually attract that quickly and create that quickly. There's a reason why that particular thing works. And then when you're trying to bring in £1 million, it doesn't work. And it's all to do with your beliefs and how invested you are in it. And the fact that with that food thing, you could just let it go and trust that you weren't even trying to manifest it. It just accidentally happened. And so, you know, this is the reasoning behind it. But when you do the inner work, you can suddenly start attracting a lot more.
Which makes it a very vital task for our own inner peace, sanity, mental health.
Yeah, mental health, physical health as well. Yeah. A lot of the aches and pains that we have, I feel like I need to talk about shoulders and necks particularly, is just negative thoughts and worry that we're holding on to. And so it has to go somewhere. So I talk about, you know, every time somebody else has a thought, it's like a bubble and it sits in our field, whether that's in your, it'll sit in your auric field first, so, you know, like a bubble around you, and it'll slowly make its way into your physical presence and your physical body. So it started as a thought and then eventually it'll sit in you, and same as trauma and all these things. And so you know, the aches and pains that you're having, the different ailments that over time that have built up, you know, it's energy blocks that just want to be shifted. And so when we do this work on ourselves, you'll start to feel lighter, brighter. You know, the headaches that you're having, the different things that you've got going on will all just start disappearing. We have it all the time where people are doing work on their general growth, but actually, you know, psoriasis and all sorts of things that, you know, people have come with, chronic disorders, have just melted away. And we do direct work on all physical ailments, but I always say to people that, yeah, sure, we can do the physical ailments if that's what you want us to do, but can I just suggest that you do some work on these other areas of your life? Because I promise you the physical stuff will sort itself out. And why pay twice? Just pay once, do the one area, and that'll sort itself out.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned neck and shoulders, because after various injuries, that was what finally started plaguing me on the left-hand side. And a colleague, Lou, who you know.
Oh, yes.
She gave me a consultation for her homeopathy skills and provided me with one tablet.
Wow.
Not even one a day, one a week, one.
She's amazing.
And what I was describing, I made her laugh actually, because I described this awful sensation I had in my upper arm and said to her, I says, I just ignore it really. She goes, so what number out of 10 is it? And I says, I just give it a 1. She goes, well, it doesn't sound like a 1 to me.
That you've mentioned it, yeah.
I said, well, I suppose in real life it's not, because I was able to be very visual about it. I could see it, and I can see it now, and it's completely different. And it is genuinely a 1.
Yeah.
And 1 pill. Now, the medic in me would go, wow, that is just not physically possible. That just can't happen. But the holistic person in me that's on this journey as in embracing everything, and I feel like a sponge sitting here taking in what you're saying, it's just so glorious, is like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it? If she's put all her skills into listening to what's going on with me and the knowledge that of the treatments that she has, and she can find just the right thing. Amazing. So now she said, right, have you still got this, other symptom? And I says, yeah. Says the tinnitus that I've had since the fall is sending me completely batshit. So I am expecting something for that. It hasn't arrived in the post yet.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm kind of like on tenterhooks waiting for that to come with total belief that it's going to help.
Yeah, because you've got evidence now. You've had an experience.
Yeah. And like I believed before, but so now it's even stronger.
Yeah, it will be.
So, yeah, watch this space. I'm going to be blown away.
You're going to be hearing everything now.
It'll be wonderful. And I wonder if that ties into all of this, the energy. Lou said, you were trying so hard to blend everything together and you were doing too much that the universe literally threw you to the floor to stop you.
Yeah. And that's literally what happens when I talk about we keep ignoring the signs, the warnings, the guides that are coming through for us. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. You've got to go. You've got to move. And sometimes we're stopped.
Yeah.
In our tracks.
And it physically stopped me for quite a while. And it was very painful. But I agree with her completely that it had to be something because I just wasn't listening.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where this tinnitus and things, I need to go a bit further along my own healing journey because this is kind of stopping healing, or it's drawing attention to the fact because it's in my ears that I need to listen more and heal more. I don't know. I don't mind which it is, if I'm honest. I'm just really grateful that I have the awareness now to think about it in a completely different way that the medic wouldn't see at all.
And how long ago did the tinnitus start?
I fell in the middle of April.
This year?
Yeah, this year. Yeah. Had pain for a while. The vertigo started a few days later when the sort of initial pain came off and the tinnitus with it. And it hasn't gone. It's better when I'm outside in nature.
Was there an infection or anything at the time?
No, nothing. And the fall didn't slip, didn't trip. It was just all of a sudden, my head just was really bizarre. I wish, there might have been cameras. Maybe I don't want to see. But the thought's been there that wouldn't it be interesting if the cameras sort of saw me having this slow motion before I fell. My head just said to me, your centre of gravity has completely disappeared. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't be daft. Oh, yeah, actually, I can feel that. Well, it's gone. You're going to fall over. No, I'm not. Because obviously you don't want to fall over, do you? And it's like, no, I'm not going to fall. Look, it's inevitable. You're going to fall. And it seemed as though it took as long as it physically did there for me to just, but I bet it was just like that.
How interesting that you knew. It's like time slowed down and you could see yourself ahead of. It was like in that moment you could see yourself.
It was really bizarre. And I was hurrying for a train, not, like I said, not running, but, you know, I was aware I was in a little bit of a rush. And it was just, right, I've got time to think about how I'm going to fall now. Don't want to fall flat on my face because I was moving forwards to try and get to this train, which I did catch. So it didn't stop me too much in my tracks on that bit, but, you know, I had a couple of hours to sit and think about it then. And so I turned around and fell on my side, which made this original arm and neck thing considerably worse for a while. But it was just a completely bizarre experience. And I still don't have any concrete answers as to why I fell. Don't know if I ever will, but working with Lou is helping.
Yeah. I do feel it was about you stopping, and there's still more to come for you, like not listening, not because it's still ringing at the moment.
Yeah.
And then there's more to come. There's a lot more to come yet. There's a lot more to do. And it's almost like wanting you to speed up in some way. Do you feel like there's a quickening and you feel like a pressure that you need to hurry up?
Yeah, the way I've described it to a couple of people is that, you know, I've been sort of building on this for a couple of years and, you know, quite consciously and happily trudge up this hill, up this, you know, getting there. And I feel now that I'm kind of like, ooh, waiting for this like run kind of thing, which is going to be exhilarating, incredible, slightly scary, but not in a negative way.
Yeah, it just feels as though you've plateaued a little bit and you're not allowing yourself to carry on growing the way that you were. And it's more about that as opposed to that you're waiting for something.
Interesting. I like that interpretation. So yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Some fears around it.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, sort of the fear of success, it can be a bit scary, can't it?
Exactly. And fear of failure is a regular one that people have, but actually the fear of success is the thing that we work on more than anything else. Because what are we afraid of? We're afraid of being seen, we're afraid of being judged, we're afraid of it could be anything. Afraid of getting too big for our boots. All of these beliefs that we have that we're holding on to.
Yeah. I feel for me personally, I would never have described myself as being arrogant. I've always felt quite humbled and privileged to be able to do the work that I do. So for me, I'm actively opening up now and saying, I want the visibility.
Yeah.
I want to be seen.
But you've never seen yourself as someone be arrogant, and so you don't want to get to a point where somebody might judge you for being arrogant.
That's very interesting.
See?
Yeah.
So it's the side of you that's holding on because you're afraid of being seen as something other than what you believe you are.
I need to learn my own lesson then, don't I? And say what other people think of me is none of my bloody business.
Yeah.
And just get on with it.
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow, amazing. I've loved this. This has been an incredible session, a wonderful chat. It's going to make an incredible podcast episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.